What is up, you guys? I hope you guys are having a great start to the trading week. I know we are here at the floor. We had an absolute beauty of a trade today. Actually, two really nice trades this morning. Now, obviously, one stood out more than the other, but beautiful, beautiful way to start our week. 29.56% on Tesla on the second trade, about 4% on the first one, but that was just a quick scalp anyways. So great way to start our week. I know you guys crushed it. I'm looking at Profits chat right now. You guys went insane. I love it. How'd everybody do today though? How many people are not in the floor in here and you still traded today? I want to see how you guys did. All right, I'm going to take that as nobody. Okay. So see, I know. So see, you've been crushing it. Anyways, all right. We'll go ahead and hop right into it here. Before we get to any of the actual charting for tonight, I want to go over that Tesla trade that we took this morning, or those Tesla trades that we took this morning. Now, this morning I was looking at the pre-market low, the previous pre-market low at 440 here, and my face is blocking it so you can't see, but there we go. 440 is what I was looking at pre-market. I actually really liked this setup. I mean, overall on the higher time frames, like anything higher than the 5 or 15 minute, we were just forming an H into this pre-market low. Now, I liked that 440 level. We ended up breaking it pre-market, so I decided to look at this intraday resistance intraday support from Friday here. You guys can see this little wick right here. This is also pretty much where we bounced pre-market. Now, off the open, we saw a green to red candle form here. Now, I didn't take my entry quite yet because Monday mornings, I mean, there's a lot going on. We don't really want to get caught in that literally split second volatility off open. But we did get this green to red flip here. It would have been a fantastic trade, actually, if we took it from that flip. But that is a bit too risky for me, and it's definitely too risky for me to put out there for the chat. So I ended up waiting on this 439.70 level, got in there. We got a break below 439, and on this second leg down on this same candle, we made a new low on that wick, and whenever we made that new low, I just ended up getting out of that trade. Now, we did miss out technically on about 50 cents here, but on this second candle of the day, I was like, this thing looks like it is ready to rip past high of day. Now, we did exactly that. We ripped past high of day, and we bottom ticked this entry here on the 939 candle, like literally the absolute lowest we could have got in. Beautiful, beautiful entry. We played this as a bounce. We did go through some short consolidation here, but we were green throughout the entire consolidation. First target here was where this red arrow is at right now at 441.71. First target was above high of day. We got that first target easily. Second target was at this 445.28 level here. Once again, very easy target. This momentum was just starting to pick up here. And then my final target personally was 446 break. We got out at around 446.13 on Tesla. And this thing did end up ripping all the way up to the Friday high where we ended up wicking at 449.05. Now, absolutely beautiful, insane trade to start the week. I mean, 30% on a Monday is just absolutely ridiculous. So great way to start our week. Literally cannot complain about a single thing today. And honestly, yeah, I think that's about as clean as that trade could have possibly been, unless we wanted to take the risk and try and play it down here from the absolute low, but still way too much indecision at this point in time. And, you know, we waited, we stayed a little patient for a few minutes, and we got an absolute banger. So that's how we do it. But anyways, I know some of you guys caught that with me. Dave held that whole time. That was beautiful. I don't know how many of you guys actually held throughout that whole trade with me. I know Seth did. Seth caught it all the way up to basically this high here at 449.05. Seth held longer than I did. Sassi, you held the whole move. Let's go. I love it. I love it. But all right. Anyways, great work today, everybody. Did the second one. That's good, Tony. That's the one you wanted to take. Anyways, all right, guys. So we'll go ahead and get into the watch list here. We're going to be going through my watch list A to Z to see what I'm liking for tomorrow and possibly even the rest of the week. Obviously, I've been putting out the Sunday stock watch lists every week now, and that's great, but also a lot changes by the time we actually get to market open on Monday. So we're going to keep doing these streams every Monday night. But anyways, if you're new here, that's what we're doing. A to Z on the watch list, finding what we're liking, creating my plans for the rest of the week. And then after we're done with that, because I'm sure it's not going to take too long, we'll go ahead and hop into a little Q&A session here. So if you guys have questions for me, even if they're not necessarily just questions for me, but just about trading in general, feel free to ask those, and I'm happy to sit here and answer for as long as you guys want to stick around. So let's see here. AVGO ripped this morning. Let's see, are we approaching any major levels on this? What is this? So 355.08 on AVGO actually looks good. I like that. I like that. We are rejecting this 353.25 area though. Seem to have been rejecting this pretty frequently here actually. So I don't know that I would take this at, actually I take that back. I would probably look at high of day on AVGO 353.90, just depending on how we get up there. Obviously, we are about $3 away right now, and we could be pretty much anywhere by the time we open tomorrow. But 353.90 on AVGO looks good. I would target a move at least to 355.08. And if I don't take that 353.90 level, I would just wait for 355.08. Do you have any video how you make levels explained? Steve, no, I don't, but I will explain them really quickly here for you right after we're done charting here. So just stick around. Because honestly, it doesn't even take a whole video. It really doesn't. Let's see, nothing on BA. I don't believe. Let's see here. Yeah, we already broke above that. Let's see what we're actually looking like. Okay, so no intraday setups here either. Yeah, nothing here on BA for me. Baba is one that has recently made its way back onto my watch list, and we haven't taken any trades on it yet. It actually has some pretty good looking setups on a daily basis. Like these setups, they form nicely, and then we just end up getting nowhere close to them by the time market opens. So like 167.69, that looks really good. That looks really nice to the upside here. I just think it's interesting that we've seen so many good looking setups and such little ability to actually take these. Baidu looks okay. Never mind. We just gapped above that. Moving on. Coin, I'm all good. We ended up coming down, filling this gap on coin, and ever since then we've been kind of stuck in this area. I'm not going to be interested on coin for a minute here. 252 is probably the first level I'm actually going to be interested in on that. Circle looking really gross right now. CRM, same story. Crowd, same story. Actually, yeah, no, I'm good. Let's see, CRWV went crazy today as well. What is this right here? 92.50. Let's go to 30 days. Okay, maybe not. Hold on. I'm going to drop this down real quick to the 30-minute here just to see if we're looking at 92.50 actually looks pretty good on CRWV. We've got pretty easy room on this up to 95.75 roughly. 95.75, this would be an area that I would expect to see some hesitation to the upside. So yeah, 95, or wait, I'm sorry. What was that? No, 95.80, my bad. 95.80 would be the room that I've got on this. So we've got a pretty decent amount of room actually. 92.50 looks nice to the upside. The way we're setting up right now, like on the 5-minute and 1-minute, does not look as good as it could, but that level looks pretty nice after looking back at it like that. So yeah, 92.50, I'm interested. We obviously had a lot of momentum off open today. Clearly, for the first, 22 minutes of the day, we saw basically no major pullback and just straight buying. So if we want to continue that momentum into tomorrow, 92.50 is looking nice. I like it. DAL has earnings tomorrow morning. So nothing here now. There might be something pre-market, but right now there's nothing on DAL. Also gonna move my face somewhere down here because I just realized I feel like my face blocks the screen a lot of the time somehow. DDOG, if we had contract volume, I would look at this low, but we don't have any contract volume, so I'll pass on that. Disney, I'm going to pass as well. You could probably get away with looking at 112.40, but my expectations for that are extremely low. Google broke all-time high today at 332.98. That's actually crazy that I didn't even notice that. Let's see here. 332.98 was the all-time high. Where are we at right now? 332.50. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're 331.55. Did we get some news on Google? We had to have gotten news. What time was this? 10:19. 10:19. Google's Gemini to run AI-powered Siri. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That actually makes a big difference on how I want to approach this. So if we can pick up momentum into the highs tomorrow, this whole run-up was based off of news. This was a news release at 10:20. Obviously, there was a little bit of early momentum coming in here before we got any news, but 10:20, we really started taking off here, and we ripped to a new all-time high. So if news alone was powerful enough to take us through that all-time high, I think that it's going to take a minute for people to actually digest what happened, because obviously we saw a pretty major sell-off after that as well. I actually think by tomorrow we should have some relatively clear upside price action on Google, or maybe not upside price action, but relatively clear price action that we will know the direction of pretty quickly. So I actually do like this Google all-time high. I'm a little all-time high'd out just due to MU, but this is something I'm actually super interested in. Google looks nice to the upside here at 334. If there was no news here and we just got this crazy run up and crazy sell off, that would sketch me out a lot about trying to trade a new all-time high on Google. But I think we should be seeing some pretty aggressive price action. No passive buying, no weak buyers. I think if we get back up there, it's going to be a pretty strong move. And it's going to be difficult to change their mind on that. So let's see here. Meta. Right now, I'm not the most interested on Meta. However, this 640.80 level does look nice. What is this? 640.80. Why did we move to 640.79? All right, whatever. 640.80. $640.80 on Meta looks nice. I don't know that we're going to be able to hold this area overnight, though, is the only problem. The after hours low, I would probably oh, I'm sorry, not even after hours. Low of day into 640.80 looks nice on Meta. I think we're going to be able to see some pretty clear breakdowns here in this area because we really don't have any support at all until like 637. So we've got quite a bit of room down here. Obviously, there was a lot of buyers here on Wednesday. I'm sorry, Thursday. But I think the move back down here, once again, kind of same story as Google. I think the move back down is going to be a little bit more solidified than that initial just crazy nut sell-off there. So yeah, I think Meta looks good to the downside. MSTR is still chopping, or I'm sorry, Microsoft is still chopping around this area for now. Not interested there. MSTR, we got out of... We didn't really get out of the range even. We're still in the same consolidation range, but we got out of the area where we were actually close to that downside trade. So MSTR, I'm all good. I'm going to pass on that. MU actually made me happy today. I saw we broke the all-time high again, but we didn't get really any continuation on this move. So super, super happy to avoid that. I know I was talking about it on the Sunday stock watch list. The setup itself looks good, but MU has been doing like breaking all rules for the past 16 days. So it makes me happy to see that I actually, stayed away from that. And it was a good decision because you could have pretty much broken your rules every day for the past 16 days and been fine up until, the 7th? Yeah, you could have taken all-time high after all-time high for the past 16 days up until January 7th, and you would have been fine. But it makes me very happy to see that MU is actually chilling out now. So I'm all good on MU for the time being. I think MU kind of needs to just chill out and figure out where it's trying to go, because the all-time high after all-time high is not sustainable price action for any stock. So yeah. Anyways, let's see here. Oracle, we had a 1-year gap start. We did. Okay. So we started this 1-year gap fill on Oracle today. That makes me look at the high of day a bit differently now, because that is going to be the continuation of this gap fill on Oracle. So you guys saw the gap right here, I would imagine. Just in case you didn't, there it is. We've got a gap here from 201.99 all the way up to 223.01. So we've got quite a bit of room on this gap fill. However, if we were just looking at this high of day, it actually looks okay as a setup by itself, but it looks even better knowing that that is a continuation of this gap fill. So Oracle, I'm definitely interested in this 206.60 resistance high of day here. Continuing that 1-year gap fill. Looking very nice. So that's definitely going to make the watch list. PLTR, I'm all good for now. And actually, everything from this point on, if it does not look spectacular, I'm skipping by it, because there's no use even putting anything that's halfway decent on the watch list. Tesla, even Tesla right now, like we're not doing anything. Now that doesn't mean that I won't look at Tesla at all tomorrow, but right now there's nothing major breakout wise going on. So SNDK, you guys have been talking about this stock recently. I'm not sure who has brought it up or if you've brought it up every time, Sissy, but I've seen the name SNDK more times in the last week than I've ever seen in my life. Let's see here. So really, once again, the only thing to look at here is just the all-time high, 395.16. I'm really all-time high'd out. I'm all-time high'd out. These contracts are also crazy expensive. Like it's fine for me, but I really don't foresee anybody playing $1,900 contracts. Like that's not even good for the chat at all. I also really don't want to play contracts with $120 spread. So I will be passing on that. Yeah, Ed, I see that. I'm just saying, like, there's not only is it not something that I want to be trading, it's also literally not beneficial for anybody other than me. So I'm all good. I'm good on the $1,900 contracts with the $120 spread. Yeah, Ed, everybody's gonna be full porting just to get one contract. And some people are gonna be 100 strikes out of the money, still full porting to get one contract. I'm good. But all right. Anyways, all right, AVGO. This is going to be the first thing we're putting on the actual watch list itself. So let's go ahead and drag this scratch pad over here. We will get to creating the watch list. We're only about 30 minutes in right now, so we're going to have plenty of time for a Q&A after we're done with this. All right. All this can go away. And AVGO. AVGO, we're looking at the... Sorry, 353.90 high of day. This I need to change so it's not confusing me. All right. AVGO is actually probably gonna go on a side watch now that I've seen some of the other setups we've got. AVGO looking at the 353.90 high of day for a breakout. We had some crazy momentum this Monday morning. Looking for a continuation of that. Targeting a move on this up to the 1 hour resistance at 355.08. Above this, we have room to the 5-minute trend at 355.62. Boom. Just like that. Baba, look at this. We were just talking about Baba having good looking setups and then breaking after hours. Literally perfect example right here. All right, Baba, you're gone. Next up here, we have CRWV. CRWV at 92.50. Okay. CRWV looking at the 92.50 resistance on the 4 hour. We had nice momentum. There we go. MOME. Nice momentum off of the Monday open. Currently forming an inverse H into this level. Targeting momentum above 94. After that, We have room up to the 95.80 resistance area for my final target. I want to have a watch list making speed competition here. If anybody thinks they can make their watch list faster than me, let's do it. Google looking at the 334.04 all-time high for a breakout. We had news early on Monday that led to a what is this? $10. Hold on, I gotta use a calculator right now because my brain's not working. 334 minus 327, $7. And creating a new all-time high. The news early on Monday that led to a $7 push and creating a new all-time high. We'll be looking at the all-time high for entry, targeting a move to the 335 break. Above this, we have room to the 30-minute uptrend at 335.51 for my final target. Boom. Meta looking at the 640.80 support on the 15-minute for a break to the downside. Targeting a move to the 640 break and momentum below that. We have room on this all the way down to 636.97 before we hit any major supports. Targets are momentum based, so make sure you are paying the most attention to price action throughout this trade. Also looking for a possible early entry at the 641.23 low of day. Oracle. Ooh. Started the gap fill on the 1 year at 201.99. Looking at the 206.60 out of day for entry. This will be a continuation of this gap fill. We have room on this all the way up to, what did I say here? All the way up to 223.01 before this gap is filled. Before we complete the gap fill. So I will be targeting momentum on this setup. Currently, we don't have any trends in the way, but I will be checking pre-market in order to determine a more specific target. Beautiful. And then snow, I didn't mention this earlier. Snow actually looks good. I'm not necessarily looking to trade this. Like, I don't have to trade it. I'm not going to be upset if I miss it. But I do want to watch it here because it's been a while since I've actually paid attention to Snow. And Snow has actually picked up some good contract volume relatively recently. So I want to pay attention to this just to see how we move, how we break, and how the contracts move. So I am going to write this, and I'll put it in the side watch. But Snow, looking at the 211.91 flat bottom for a break to the downside. I have room on this down to the 210 break. Below this, we have room to fall. Overall, just watching to see the contract volume, spreads, overall movement. All right, so side watch, we'll go ahead and put this right here, and Snow is going to go in that side watch. AVGO is probably going to go down here as well, just because I do think we have some better looking setups as of right now. Now, that doesn't mean AVGO is a bad looking setup, but I think some of these others are a little bit better. So CRWV upside, Google upside, Meta downside, Oracle upside, AVGO upside, and Snow downside. Oh, that is not what I was trying to do. I don't even know what I just did there. Oops. Anyways, that is what I've got for tomorrow and possibly the rest of the week, just depending on when these trades actually play out. So if you guys are not in the floor, make sure you screenshot that, save it, do as you please with that watch list. Not financial advice, but this is what I'm looking at. So do as you please. But anyways, we do have about 20 minutes here for the rest of this stream. So if you guys have any questions for me, anything trading related, even if it's not about technicals of trading, psychological questions, you know, any questions you have about trading at all, feel free to ask. I'm going to turn my camera off here and make this a little bit bigger so you can have a second to screenshot that list if you want. And also, if you're not in the floor and you want to trade with me and the team, click the first link in the description. Stupid, crazy, ridiculous deal right now. So go click that link. I'm going to give you guys just a minute here so you can screenshot this, look it over. I will be back in just a second. All right, I can't help but notice none of you guys have clicked that link. I'm just kidding. Anyways, let's see. Steve, I did not forget about you here. I'm going to show you what I'm looking for in these levels right now. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Should be able to see this. Yes, you can. All right, beautiful. So what I'm looking for in my levels, just get prepared for probably some of the finest art you've ever seen. Levels, all right? I am looking for support and resistance, okay? Very, very simple to find. Now, I could give you a long explanation on how this works, but essentially all you are really looking for are peaks and valleys. Every peak is a resistance, every valley is a support. So Steve, let me ask you right now, how many resistances do we have? And how many supports do we have right now? Exactly. Perfect. You got that exactly right. And the reason that it is only 2, oh, sorry. The reason that it's only 2 and not 3 is because we haven't peaked out on this move yet. All right. A lot of people answer 3 because they see this right here and they'll say that's a resistance. Well, no, that's not a resistance yet because we have not peaked out. So up until we peak out, we don't have another resistance, but look there, we just added another one, okay? So that is all, literally all I'm looking for. It's not difficult whatsoever. Now, the part that is actually difficult about trading is knowing when to execute on these levels, knowing how to read price action properly, and also keeping your emotions in check. The psychological part is literally the most difficult part of trading. This strategy is not difficult. It is not something that is some big secret. Like it's just support and resistance and knowing how to read price action. So finding your levels and charting should be the absolute easiest part of your trading. Like everything else should be more difficult than finding support and resistance. This should be something that can be learned literally in 5 minutes, and you just did. So I urge you to go on your own charts and maybe watch this stream back. Maybe watch this stream back after you have already charted on your own and see, do any of our levels line up? Okay, and then also what I want to say is, I said every peak is a resistance, every valley is a support. Now, every peak that has not been broken are the resistance levels that we're looking for. If it's been broken, I would consider that level no longer valid for entry, okay? Because the way that we trade support and resistance levels, it's kind of like popping a balloon. Like breakouts, you have a lot of pressure built up. When we break, we get that pop. All right, same way you would have the air pressure built up in a balloon. If you pop it, there it goes. All right, you can't pop it again. It's the same kind of thing with the support and resistance levels. When you pop those levels have been broken. Those levels are not going to be valid until we set another resistance there. So let's say this resistance level, right? We kept this resistance level. We'll just draw it over so you can see it, even though it's not going to matter for now. This resistance level, I would not play this level back to the downside. I wouldn't play it back to the downside. And also, I would not consider this level valid for entry unless we set up another resistance. Okay, so right here we set up another resistance. Now this level is valid again. But it's not because of what happened way back here. It's because of what happened right here. All right. Should make sense. I don't know who John Ken is, but thank you. I try and just relate everything to real life because we're just going to be talking about a bunch of random jargon if we're talking about the market. So the easiest way to learn is just relate it to stuff that you already are familiar with. Anyways, let's see here. I'm assuming that's going to make sense. So I'll go ahead and move on to a couple more questions. If that doesn't make sense, feel free to ask me whatever it is that you need to ask me, and I'll happily do that again. But anyways, let's see. What brokerage do you execute your trades on? I've been paper trading on Thinkorswim using the setup from your YouTube video, which I like. Executing the trade is simple when going too close. Okay, hold on. So what brokerage do I execute my trades on? I execute my trades on Interactive Brokers. I love Thinkorswim's charts. I actually think Thinkorswim has a solid platform for execution as well. But I've just never used Thinkorswim for my execution. When I very first started trading, I took a couple of trades on Thinkorswim. But also when I very first started trading, I was trading penny stocks and I was shorting penny stocks. And Thinkorswim rarely ever had shares available to short. So that means I couldn't use it for my execution, which means I used E-Trade. So I used E-Trade Pro for a long time because you can't get interactive until you turn 21. So I used E-Trade Pro for a long time. And right around the time that I turned 21, as soon as I turned 21, I got an IB account anyways. But right around the time that I turned 21, the E-Trade Pro platform was being phased out and they were no longer using that. So they got rid of that platform anyways. So it just so happens that I've never been on Thinkorswim for my execution. I've always been on a separate platform for execution, but I do think Thinkorswim is a great, fantastic all-around platform for anybody who is, well, actually really anybody, especially beginners though, because it is free and the commissions are not bad at all. It's got 99.9% of what you need in a platform. I think Interactive just has that extra tiny... Sorry if you guys are hearing my dog right now. That extra tiny little bit of customization on the execution that makes me prefer that. But anyways, what time frame are you looking support and resistance, and what time frame are you taking entry? So Steve, if you didn't notice here when I was charting, I'm always starting out on the higher time frames. Like when I'm moving to a different stock, I'm starting out on the 4 hour. The reason for that is because if you start out on, let's say, the 1 minute, we're going to see a whole bunch of levels here on the 1 minute that really are not that important. Like I could go down on AVGO here and mark out 1, 2, 3, 4 resistances here. And you're going to end up having a million levels on your chart. And almost all of those levels are not that important. So what happens when you're on the higher time frames is the only things you see are the actual important levels. So that's why I start out on the high time frame and work my way down. If I'm starting out on the low time frame, I'm going to have a whole bunch of just nonsense levels that really are not that good. So that's why I start out on the higher time frames. And then when I'm executing on this screen right here. I have 3 different time frames pulled up for the same stock at all times. And I'm always paying attention to the 1 minute when I'm executing because I want the most amount of information that I can possibly get. I find my levels on the high time frames so I know they're important levels, and I execute on the 1 minute so I can get the most amount of information possible. Okay, let's see. I get lost, or is it something I just need to keep working on? Oh, okay, got you. Got you, Michael. So when going too close, I get lost. Oh, when going too close, I get lost. Okay, so when you're closing your position, if you set it up exactly how I had it set up in that video, you should have buy and sell buttons right down here. And it's simple. Yeah, I mean, you're always buying to open your position. You're always selling to close your position. So there shouldn't be anything to get confused on or lost on. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by when going to close, I get lost. If you want to elaborate, I'm happy to help. Why most of my trades are breakouts? Because that is my bread and butter, Sissy. I've been doing it for years. I can click sell right there. Yeah, of course. You should have, if you followed my video, I'm just going to add it in here so you can see it. If you followed my video, you should have, where is it here? Oh, here, hold on. You should have these buttons right here. If you followed my video to a T, you should have these buttons. And if you look at that, let me get rid of this real quick. You have buy market and sell market. You can also add in join the bid, join ask, whatever. But let's say you bought, right here, let's just say you bought 20 contracts, right? We're going to pretend I click buy. Now you're in those 20 contracts. And when you want to get out, you just click sell. Yeah, there shouldn't be anything else you have to do. And if you check auto send, it's going to prevent that little order entry pop up at the bottom. So I would recommend just clicking auto send, checking auto send when you're getting ready for the trading day. So yeah, you're buying and selling from the same spot. You don't have to go anywhere else. Any tips for growing small accounts? Yes, I do have tips for growing small accounts. Be way more conservative than you think you need to be. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of you guys, especially with small accounts, it happens to everybody because I did it too. A lot of you guys are getting really, really caught up in wanting to make a bunch of money really fast. Okay? You want to make a bunch of money really fast. That's not how trading works. That's not how life works. Now, can you make a bunch of money really fast? Yeah, sure, once you grow your account. But the actual growing your account part is not starting out with $1,000 and in a week turning it to $2 and in another 3 days turning it to $3. Like, that is not something that is realistic to uphold over a long period of time. You can't do that. Well, I say you can't. Technically you can, but it will come to a burning, fiery end very soon. So if you want to grow that account and keep that account and continue making consistent profits, you're gonna have to chill out a little bit. And what I mean by that is when I started out with a $2,000 account, okay? Now, I did add money to that. I lost pretty much all that money right within the same few days. So I'm just considering it starting with 2K because that's literally the spot that I ended up at anyways and had to grow back from there. So started with a 2K account. When I was trying to grow my account, I was sizing extremely aggressively because I had the same mindset as literally everybody else, which is I want to grow my account as quickly as possible, which means I need to be sized in heavy. I need to be aggressive. Okay? Now, trying to grow my account that way took way longer than it would have if I just chilled out, took very small position sizes. It's going to feel like you're actually doing nothing. That's what it should feel like. It should not be an adrenaline rush. You shouldn't feel your heart racing when you get out of a trade. You should feel comfortable, calm, and kind of bored throughout the entire process. Like, that's how it should feel. But the point where I actually started growing my account, like I say that I sized aggressively to grow my account, but I really didn't. The whole time I was sizing that aggressively for my account size, I was really just moving sideways. I was kind of barely sort of moving up, but it was major swings to the upside, major swings to the downside. And when I had those major swings to the downside, it just takes longer to dig back out of that hole. Where if I sized down and I just focused on consistency instead of how much money or how quickly I'm trying to flip my account, I would have been way ahead of where I actually was by the time that I got consistent. So just for example, let's say you have a $2,000 account, and at the time, I will say, I'm going to give myself a little slack here and say that contracts back then, contracts on Tesla were about $1,500 a piece. Contracts on Amazon at the money were about $3,500 a piece. So it's a little bit different now than it was then. But back then, let's say I had a $2,000 account and I took a $1,500 position size. Okay? That left me with $500 in buying power after I got out of that trade. So whether that trade was a win or whether that trade was a loss, I had $500 of buying power left. Okay? Let's say it was a loss and I lost, let's say 15%. 15% is actually relatively normal. Okay? So that means I'm down $300 on a $2,000 account. I'm down over 10% of my account off of one trade. Now I have $500 in buying power left. If we set up where I can re-enter that trade, where typically if I was sized correctly, I would be able to not only make that money back, but also make more on top of it, I wouldn't even be scratching the surface of being break even with the amount of buying power I had left. Also, let's say I took that $300 loss, and let's say I took another stop loss with the rest of my buying power. We'll say I'm down $375 for the day. Well, now my $2,000 account is actually only a $1,675 account. $1,675 account. So now I have to make that money back with even less money. So when you're sizing super aggressively like that, it's way more hurtful to you than it is helpful. If you just chill out and you're taking one contract, maybe two contracts, depending on the pricing. Let's say with a $2,000 account, you're taking $300 position sizes, right? It's going to feel like you're doing nothing. Even if you hit a 10% trade, you're making $30. It feels like nothing. But you do that consistently over a couple of weeks and a couple of months, you're actually making really, really good progress. And it's consistent progress that you can continue building off of for a long period of time. Like the way that I trade now is the same way that I traded whenever I was trading with a smaller account once I actually started building. Not in the super aggressive phase, but once I actually started consistently building. I trade the same exact way now that I did back then, except I'm actually taking even less risk because there's no need to go crazy like that. There's no need to risk. Well, really, you're risking your account. That's what you're risking. In a couple of trades, it could be your account. I say a couple. It's probably going to have to be like 5 or 6. But either way, 5 or 6 trades should not be able to wreck your account. That's what I'm getting at. And the way that a lot of people size when they're trading with small accounts, it is probably 6 trades or less before their account is gone. If they're sizing that way. And especially if you're sizing that way, it's going to be harder for you to follow your stop losses. It's going to be harder for you to follow literally any part of your plan. It's going to be harder for you to hold till target because you're going to be so amped up and like, ugh. While you're in the trade, you just can't possibly focus on what's actually going on. You can't focus on anything that's important. So, yeah, size down. Chill out a little bit. That's my advice for growing a small account. Size down and chill out. I don't even care if you think that you are sizing all right now and you feel comfortable in those trades. You should actually feel bored. You should feel like you're doing nothing. Do I do any small account challenges? No, I don't, Steve, because I trade for a living. Now, maybe if we had like 500 members in the Discord, sure, I'd do a small account challenge, but can't really do that. Can't really do that. But anyways, yeah, no, I don't do any small account challenges, Steve. I'm not saying that I absolutely never will, but, gotta make the money. Okay, hold on. Let's see, I missed something here. All you need is that buy/sell, right? None of the others are used, like reverse or flatten. Ed, that's correct. You don't need reverse. I would keep flatten on there though, because what flatten does, let let me just pull this up again real quick. I'm not going to pull up the whole thing, but you got buy market, sell market, cancel all, reverse, and flatten. So reverse is going to reverse your position. If you're long, it's going to take you out and put you short. There's no need to use that. You're never going to use that. Flatten, on the other hand, flatten is kind of like an emergency exit button. Flatten will let you essentially, let's say, well, we have 100 typed in here right now. Let's say we have 100 contracts and we only have 30 loaded up in this quantity bar right here. If I click market sell, it's only going to sell 30 contracts. Okay? What flatten is going to do is it's going to take you out of your entire position regardless of what you have typed into the quantity box. So if you have 100 contracts and you only have 30 typed in right now, you click flatten, it's still going to sell all 100 of your contracts. And if you have any pending orders, it's going to cancel those orders and just get you out. So let's say you have a limit sell set on something. If you have a limit sell set, but you try and sell those contracts, so we'll just say here, we'll say we only have 30 contracts. We have a limit sell that is currently set. It's out there just waiting to get filled for 30 contracts. If I were to click market sell, it would say you cannot sell these contracts because you already have an open order for these same contracts. So what flatten will do is it will cancel all open orders and it will just market sell your entire position. So I would keep flatten. Flatten is definitely useful. Did not realize it sold / closed my order. No problem, Michael. The thing that has been more consistent for me is smaller sizing and taking smaller profits versus risking more to try and make more. When I did the latter, I'd get smacked easy. Exactly, Nicole. That's exactly. If you guys don't believe me and you don't want to believe me, listen to Nicole. Pretty much most of the time, I only take one contract with my 1K account unless cons are inexpensive. That's also very smart. Now, I will say, as soon as possible, and I'm not saying to rush the process, so don't twist my words here, but as soon as possible, you're going to want to get to the point where you can actually scale out of your position, because I scale out in almost every single trade that I take, if not all of the trades that I take. The reason for that is because you're going to be cutting off a lot of risk. You're going to be locking in a lot of profits, which makes it easier for you to hold your trades till target. So the sooner you can get to the point where you can have 2 contracts comfortably, where you can scale out, that is going to be massively helpful for you. Like, I don't know if Gabe is in here right now. I don't mean to name drop, but Gabe and I are friends in real life, so we talk about things. And he was like, dude, when I finally got to the point where I could comfortably scale out of my trades, it literally feels like this is on easy mode. And it does. It doesn't mean that it's actually easy, but like compared to either having to hold your full position or sell your full position, and that was your only choice, when you get the ability, you unlock the ability to scale out of trades, it does actually feel like the market is on easy mode, because almost every trade, if we take a trade and it does not go against us immediately, we are almost always taking off half of our profits as early as possible. So then no matter what happens for the rest of that entire trade, we are going to be green. That's the easiest way to stay consistently green, is when you get a nice break, sell half your position, move your stop loss to break even. Now, I never move my stop loss to break even until I have scaled out of part of my position. But when I get the ability to scale out of my position, I will sell half, my stop loss is immediately moved to break even. Let's say I'm up $1,000 on a trade, right? I'm up 1,000. We get the nice break, I scale out a half. That means I've locked in $500 in profit, and I still have unrealized $500 in profit. The only thing I'm actually risking there is the unrealized gains. But the moment that I lock in that 500, my stop loss is moved to break even. So regardless of what happens, I literally do not care what happens for the rest of that trade, because regardless, I'm sitting with a $500 profit. no matter what. Okay, now, technically, I do care what happens throughout the rest of that trade. I'm not just going to recklessly leave my position sit, but I'm not nervous. I'm not worried about anything. If something happens, it is what it is. We stop out break even on the rest, and we still had a green trade. Now, obviously, it feels better to get final target than it does break even stop on the other half of your position, but that's not how it works. It's not how it works. So anyways, yeah, the sooner you can get to the point where you can start scaling, I would take advantage of that because it's actually going to make it easier for you. That is actually really one of the only things that gets easier if you have a larger account. And I know a lot of people say sometimes like, oh, if I just had more money to trade with, it would be so much easier. That is true to a very, very small extent. But if you don't have the discipline it takes to build a small account, you're not going to be able to build a big one either. The only thing that changes is your ability to scale out of your position. That's the only thing that's going to make it any easier. And you can do that still with a small account. Over the Discord live trading floor, you sometimes mention that you see the buyers/sellers coming in with larger volume right at that second. Are you looking at the tape in the first box on the flexible grid? Yes, I am. I am, John Ken. I'm looking at the tape. I'm also looking at the volume, and mainly I'm watching level 2. That's the main thing that I'm focusing on. Like if you had to take something away from me, if it had to be either charts or level 2, I would rather you take away my charts. So level 2 is what I'm watching mainly when I'm saying that. But also I am glancing at time and sales. I'm glancing at the volume. I can pretty much see everything in my peripherals from where I'm looking. So yeah. No problem. So see, makes sense. Doing the small account challenge while trading for a living. Yeah, Steve. I ask how long it took you to become profitable, if you don't mind. Yeah, Steve, it took, I'm trying to think how many years it's been. I think it took right around 3 years. I want to overestimate that guess. I'm going to say 3 years. I'm going to say that's a bit of an overestimation. Now, that could have been cut down drastically if I was just doing the right things with my sizing. But yeah, it just honestly, just stupidity and emotions is the only reason that it took that long. And I say stupidity, I'm not saying I'm stupid, but I'm saying like just stupid stuff that you don't need to be doing. You don't need to be taking extra risk for no reason. And that was like, I guess my favorite thing to do was take extra risk for no reason. But anyways, yeah, right around 3 years, Steve. I think 2.5 more closely. Working up to that because I'd like to be able to lock in profits and still be in if I reach my target. Of course, Nicole. Yeah, so that's a very good goal to reach towards. It's a realistic goal. You're not overshooting your expectations. You're not trying to make $1 million overnight. You're just trying to get to the point where you can scale out. I like it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you guys for sticking around. I appreciate the questions. I love an interactive stream. It's always fun. So I will talk to you guys all first thing in the morning for pre-market review at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you're not in the floor and you want to try it out, click that button down there. And I'll see you.